Tuli, the drummer?
The cat what played the drums, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what he's doing now? No. He's the first guy to organize this thing called Fundamentalists Anonymous. And it really humanizes those people that, like, you know, they're trying to come off that stuff, and there's like these 12 places in America where they can get this self-help and get rehab, and
that's good.
It's wonderful, you know. Good old Abdul, man. Yeah, he was
amazing. Out.
Yeah, he was so crazy in them days, and now do what he's doing now, man. Just goes to show you.
Hey, so Steve, you working?
Working. You know, when, in the 50s, when I told my mother that I was going to become an actor, she said, you're going to become an actor? You're a character.
That was a short for character, right?
Yeah, well, she took the word caca and the word actor, and she went, character. She said to me, you're going to be an actor. Why? You can ride a horse. Glenn Ford, he can ride a horse. You can't ride a horse.
She was right. You still can't ride a horse, right?
Right. Well, I haven't tried in a long time. I used to ride those little ponies at Coney Island.
The first horse I ever rode tried to bite my leg right at the stirrup. So he sort of sent me a message. I think I was set up, though. I haven't been on a horse or a motorcycle since then. The first motorcycle I got on also reared up. I don't know. You think machines and natural beings can communicate with each other?
Well, I would hope eventually there would be at least some kind of dialogue. I know when I was making my soja in Morocco many years ago, I went to this little village of Berbers, and I knew this Berber, and he took me there to meet his family, and all of a sudden I was being chased by this camel around this giant haystack, going around and around, and everybody in the village going, you know, and then finally, like, I made my moment into the house, and the camel missed me, man. He was intent on getting me. I don't know what it was, man.
Strange.
You know, I don't know, maybe the night before I was asleep, I had a dream, and while I was asleep, I was going, fucking camels, those are dumb fucking animals. I mean, you talk about dumb fucking camels, they're fucking dumb. I mean, they let these people put them across the desert, man, like for 30 days without fucking water, man. That's fucking dumb. So maybe they heard that.
Well, camels are big in, they used them for comic relief in the Persian War, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what some of the deportees from Kuwait can do, the camel rides for the Americans. Think it would. How long do you think they're going to be there?
Oh, God. You know, it's a God-eat-God world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an infidel. I'm an infidel? Well, screw you. You're an infidel. I'm an infidel? Oh, well, screw you. I'm an infidel. Well, screw you, you infidel. You mean screw me, I'm an infidel. That's right, you're an infidel. Well, screw you. I'm an infidel. Screw you, infidel.
Who's the real infidel? What would you like the audience to know about you? That's true.
Well, I was born in Brooklyn in 1938. I played punch bowl for the Flatbush Dukes. And when you see a rebel without a cause, you know something isn't right. These kids, they're going like, help, I want to kill myself. What the hell's going on? You know something isn't right.
Which brings me to today's subject, which is called Everybody's Doing It Wrong and Nobody's Doing It Right. L'chaim.
Where do you think the movement has to go to or from? Do we need a, what do they call them, special deployment force? They put a war over on you now before you wake up in the morning.
Well, what's going to be very important during this next period is to be conducting a lot of seances in order to contact the living. I think that's going to be a very important way of looking at them.
DC is a hard nut to crack.
Well, I think the movement, along with all the other people who are in the human race, have to go deep into the mystery to touch the bottom of the phantasm so they can get in touch with the dream thread. And, you know, there was this great Indian chief, you know, who said, you know, I want to go to where these cats come from, you know? Like, where did these guys live? So one day he got on a boat, and he went across the great big sea, and he ended up in Europe. He said, where did these people come from? What kind of houses do they grow up in that they act like this? What are their parents like? And this Indian chief went to Europe, and on the way back, on a solitary night of a full moon, he said, after seeing where these Europeans live and the way they live, I wondered if I shall ever dream a dream again.
Hey, mi suavita kini. Hey, mi suavita kini.
Which in Sioux means we shall live again. Now we're waiting for that. Some people are waiting this way, some people are waiting that way. But we're waiting another way.
I think the issue of the casualty count is sort of interesting. I've seen.
Well, I'll tell you off the bat, man. This, you know, all this statistics stuff, man. I'm tell you, you know, it just it's just like. See, lately I'm more and more into philosophy, and poetry and jazz that I think can ultimately save us. But once you get into statistics, I get like.
Yeah, I guess 250,000 bodies is enough to force you into philosophy.
It doesn't mean anything because, you see, it's them. See, even when you see a movie like The Deer Hunter, you notice that the Vietnamese are derealized, that they are not, that they don't, see, we never see a part of their humanity that we can identify with them as human beings. So all of a sudden, like when 200,000 people bite the dust, we can justify it, you know, we justify it in the most, I mean, the elite Republican guards. They kept telling us about the elite, boom, Republican guards, boom. Now, American people began to think that these elite Republican guards were cyborgs. So there these guys were coming down the desert, and there's an American with an M16. Let's get this guy with a flamethrower. And he's going. Let's try a howitzer. So, you know, so these people, you know, were so derealized, and I'll tell you, it is a little frightening how, which has always been our theme about domination and submission and hierarchy, where all of a sudden, you know, whatever the president or dictator, or whatever the cat is, all of a sudden says to a couple 100,000 guys, listen, I want you to go over there, and I want you to go fight these guys. A lot of you guys are going to die, and that's the way it is, and it's cool, and that's the way it's always been, and go ahead. Now, a guy was trying to explain to me how bad this guy Saddam Hussein is. Now, he is bad and even worse. I mean, I know that. I saw a thing on Frontline where Saddam Hussein had 300-400 people in this big room. It was a big meeting like the Congress. And he's sitting there. And
this is actual footage.
Actual footage. And he's going, and all of a sudden the audience is like, bang. He's got a list of like 30, 40 guys. He's going to give up. And like these guys with the French suits are going to come take him away, and one to the head and on the floor, dead, boom. So he's going, El Hawat, and you get a shot of the guy, like, huh? You know, and all of a sudden he's marching these cats out. One guy stands up and goes, and I want to tell you that him and him are traitors. And Saddam Hussein goes, yes, him and also you. And these guys with the French designer suits come and they take him out. And they're immediately executed. All of a sudden, he goes through 40 guys.
How do we know that they're executed?
Is this popcorn? Not that I'm pushing this stuff. I saw this. You know, none of my guys.
Do you see
none of my friends.
Do you see them executed?
No. None of my boys had nothing to do with this. None of my boys were involved in this. No, dig what I'm saying here is that after these 30, 40 guys get called up and get marched out, there's a lull of about 20 seconds. And all of a sudden, guys begin to stand up and go, Saddam, I love you, I would do a duck for you.
Saddam bin Helman, Lakrna. And he sits down, and two guys get up, Helman, Saddam, I love you, I will do a duck for you, I will bring you a duck, Allah Helman. And they cried in such joy. And I watched that, and that night, in Congress, I saw Bush walk in, and all these cats with American flags going, George Bush, I do a duck for you. We are right. I don't feel no guilt. 200,000 people. I do a duck for you.
Yeah. I saw.
By the way, we're into New World Vision, which is an important workshop coming to a theater near you in May.
Yeah. What? Oh, New World Vision. Yeah.
New World Vision workshop coming to a theater near you.
You have to have your eyes poked out before you can be admitted.
No. You just have to breathe in staccato and keep the pilot light lit.
Oh, that's easy.
The very thought of you.
You're doing
this whole body count thing.
Yeah.
They can tell you exactly how many howitzers, how many tanks, how many toothpicks they've destroyed in Iraq, but they can't tell you how many human beings have died. Right?
No, they don't show you any bodies, actually. Or they're from a distance, so it's minimal.
It's like, a part count. They can do a great part count, but not a body count, right?
It's an interesting
That's
thing.
what they're in. We're not into body counts, per se. So what are they?
Yeah, right. That was their.
Listen, I tell you right now,
phrase.
if I knew that when I was invited up to do this show that we would get into body counts, if I would know that front, I would have had to sign like a half a waiver to do this. Yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Very thought of you.
The body count, of course, just stands for individuals. These are all individuals, and they'll never show you an enemy individual suffering too much. They don't really like to do that. And it's an interesting. I was reading about, as I often do, about the Mexican-American War, and very strange. The same thing that happened in the Mexican-American War in the 1840s. The Americans went in, killed a lot of people, and they have an exact count of how many American soldiers were killed. But they could never, they never gave any estimate, and of course the Mexicans were in no position to count. So we don't know how many Mexicans were killed in that war. One statistic I found recently, which I liked, I like to find it because I read American history without having seen it before, was that 150,000 Filipinos were killed by Americans during the Philippine insurrection, which was really part of the Spanish-American War.
But
well, there are other
it doesn't have a
petty
name.
counts.
The Philippine insurrection killed 10 times
doesn't
as
have
many
a name,
people
right.
as the war against Cuba.
Yeah.
Never hear about it.
If you guys keep talking like this, I'm going to have to make this very special phone call. I have to make this very special phone call. Number one, I want to tell you, you know what Art Blakey would have said about all this?
No.
Art Blakey, the great jazz drummer, would have said, we don't play this shit. And, that's what he would have said about all this. What was I thinking about?
The 1 million napalm dead Koreans?
Help! Help! My God, just look out there. There's still a...
Well, they should be called sadistics, right? But anyway, you're working for NPR, are you?
Sometimes I freelance. I
like that?
But it's all right.
What's your favorite bits from that show? You do, what do you do, 1 minute?
I do 1 minute, 2 minutes. A couple...
Give us a sample.
Sample.
A few samples.
I'm looking out there at the river, right? There it is, right? I had a piece about the river. And kind of doing this kind of New York, kind of wise, interesting kind of, character. So I did a piece in the summer. Where the guy goes, he goes, Jesus is hot. Thank God I got an air conditioner. You know what we used to do when we were kids?
What?
We used to jump in the river. If you lived on the east side, you jumped into the East River. And if you lived into the west side, you jumped into good old Henry Hudson. Now listen, It wasn't roses even then. But do you know for how long people used to jump in these rivers? Thousands of years, longer. Today, and it's the law, if you jump in the river, if you fall in the river, you gotta go into quarantine. Imagine. And what's the government doing about this? I mean, the people are screaming, hey, the rivers. And the government is making a circle of Conestoga wagons like these folks screaming about the rivers was Indians. So, you know what I say to the government? You know what they should do? You guessed it. Jump in the river.
So that played out in Arkansas.
Well, it would go in Arkansas.
They heard that in Arkansas. Because every time they go into the river, this thing goes,
You come in here, and then I will begin to eat away at your skin.
you know, it's like these people going, gee, you know, I want to swim in Monday night down in the hole, Mary, and I got this, you know. All of a sudden, the Monongahela, which flows into the Bakunda Kinda, and the Pasamba River, it flows into the Flunga River, and we got this thing going, in all these rivers, man.
Well, they say New Orleans has, I think, the highest cancer rate. It's
statistics.
It's at the bottom of the river. It's at the bottom of the Mississippi
I can't take
River.
anymore. They keep telling me about statistics wherever I go. I said, Pappy.
Well, you're a smoker. You ought to read statistics. Right, I caught you writing your statistics. Go ahead. All right, you get the last shot.
I get the last shot? Listen, this has got to be, you know, come on. Like I said earlier, they raised the hoop on us 4 inches.
They lowered the floor.
Or they lowered the floor, depending if you want to come from the yang or the yin. So if you know somebody who can give you a good deal on those pump it up sneakers, you know, because I can't afford them, but maybe they'll give you an extra inch. So what I'll be doing during this next period, actually, I'm going to be trying to improve my jump shot, my three-point downtown play, and most of all, my defense.
This program was recorded Friday, March 15th, in the year of our Bush, 1991, before a non-audience.